Ghosts, UFOs, monsters, Mothman, Chupacabra, the Mandela effect. This and more you will find at the Fringe Feature Movie Hour. All this and more at the Fringe Feature Movie Hour. I will try to scare the pants off of you. Enjoy. Good night. Hello, everybody. This is the Fringe Feature Movie Hour, where me and Ted take you into the horror story, the fringe area of America and the world. We talk about sensitive topics like Mothman. Earlier this week, or last week rather, it was the Mandela effect and how I'm horribly affected by it. And this week we're going to talk about a very sensitive topic, probably the mother of all fringe and the whole entire planet. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about the Archons and their effect on the world. These Archons are like the new kids on the block of the paranormal world. They basically run everything, and I'll be running a video from a man named Jay Wider, I believe it is. It might be somebody else, I can't remember, but I'll be showing a few films on the Archons and their effect on our world. You know, I didn't want to touch on these beings until much later on, but lately this subject matter of pork and bacon have showed up in the news and in my life. It's everywhere. I'll show you a few examples right now.
This is my donut remover. This is my donut remover. I'm going to cut off your donuts. And this will shove the bacon up your ass. If you like bacon so much, Mr. Rafiki, you do not defy the God of Allah. You do not defy Muhammad. You do not defy the Quran on me, because I am messenger.
So you may have already heard the news that bacon and processed meats are bad for you. Yes, they will give you cancer. They will kill you. They're just as harmful as tobacco and asbestos, at least according to the World Health Organization. And for meat eaters, that should be a concern. But now for vegans, it doesn't really matter. Personally, I'm a vegan and I don't give a shit. Like, who cares? Yeah, bacon and processed meats and even red meat is harmful for you. Big deal. It's not even like it's news. I mean, I knew this long ago. I knew this before I was even a vegan. But vegans are all over the world just excited about this news. They're going orgasmic over it. Just go on YouTube and there's like every vegan YouTube channel is talking about this latest news that came out from the World Health Organization. I always wonder, if the World Health Organization came out with a different result saying that meat is actually good for you, or it's neither good or bad for you, it's okay to eat in moderation, how vegans would have responded to that, or probably try to, on some level, challenge the World Health Organization's motives for coming out with those kind of results. But now that it is conclusive that bacon, processed meats, and red meat is all bad for you, cancers and all that stuff, we love this as vegans. And why? Why is that? Why, when it doesn't even matter to us, we don't eat meat? It's because now we have more ammo to shove down the throats of non-vegans. We are right. We told you so. Your meat is killing you, you meat eater, you murderer, you rapist. Yes, finally, it's come out. The truth has come out. We have the truth. We're vegans. March on, vegans. Convert the world. That's what it's all about, baby.
Want to know the secrets to living a long life? Ask someone who has lived one. A 105-year-old woman from Texas, Pearl Cantrell, has her own tip which she eagerly passes on. She believes bacon is key to living long and staying healthy. Recently, a news outlet released a report on Cantrell's love of bacon. Oscar Mayer got wind of it and sent out the Wienermobile to pay a visit to Cantrell. She rode in the vehicle and drove through the streets of her town, waving to residents. After the drive, she was given loads of bacon. Cantrell stated, "I could eat bacon for every meal, and I do. I want other people to eat bacon. I'll tell them too." Another lady, 101-year-old Nancy Lamperti, has her own secret. Each day with her lunch, she has 2 glasses of wine. At 4 in the afternoon, she indulges in a glass of Southern Comfort. 2 hours later, she drinks a can of Budweiser. Amazingly, Nancy sticks to her drinking schedule every day.
I saw you eat bacon the other day. You know you ate bacon. You are forbidden. It is in the Quran. It is in the Quran, and you ate bacon. You'll go to hell. We will send you to an early grave. Just remember it. You have not been forgotten. My mustache is messed up.
Elliot, put down that delicious bacon! You'll kill us all! Aw. Elliot, you can thank me for saving your life anytime you want because that bacon is killing you. Who says? Literally WHO, the World Health Organization, is saying this because thanks to a recent study, the internet's favorite food is coming under fire for killing you by increasing your risk of colorectal cancer. Ass cancer. Yes.
And it's not just bacon, pretty much any processed meat is being lumped into this new report. They're saying that eating these foods is about as bad as smoking.
Eesh. So it's true. Everything that's totally badass or makes you feel great or tastes amazing is going to kill you. Great.
Anyways, PBS explains that this investigation involved the findings from 22 scientists regarding the association between more than 16 types of cancer and the consumption of red meat and processed meat.
They examined more than 800 epidemiological studies from the US, Europe, Japan, Australia, and elsewhere, and covered multiple ethnicities and global diets, and thanks to this wealth of information, has, quote, classified consumption of processed meat as carcinogenic to humans on the basis of sufficient evidence for colorectal cancer.
The PBS article continues and states that one of the main lines of evidence found that, quote, colorectal cancer risk jumps by 17% for every 100 grams, 3.5 ounces, of red meat consumed each day. Meanwhile, with processed meat, colorectal cancer risk increased by 18% for every 50 grams, 1.7 ounces, eaten each day.
Yeah, so thanks to this new information, processed meat is now considered as risky as tobacco smoking and asbestos exposure.
I'm trying as best as I can here.
We're the worst.
But now that we've got the scariest part out of the way, let's talk you off that ledge, my friend, real quick, because we both love red meat and of course bacon, despite the fact that the internet's ridiculous obsession with it makes it kind of lame.
Yeah.
A lot of the posts going around online are leaving important quotes from the World Health Organization and other cancer study groups out in favor of scaring you.
Yeah.
Boo!
But the World Health Organization themselves have stated, quote, for an individual, the risk of developing colorectal cancer because of the consumption of processed meat remains small. But this risk increases with the amount of meat consumed.
And according to an article in the Washington Post, they quote Jonathan Schoenfeld, a professor at Harvard Medical School, who co-authored a report about this same accusation for the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. He said in that report,
it might be a good idea not to be an excessive consumer of meat, but the effects of eating meat may be minimal, if anything.
They also go on to quote results from an experiment done by the Polyp Prevention Trial and the Women's Health Initiative that found that subjects who lessened their meat intake did not appear to have a lower cancer risk.
But they did go on to say that the reductions might have been too small to have an effect.
The truth of the matter is that there still isn't enough research available for people to link chronic diseases to something as sporadic as the diets of thousands of people. There isn't really a way to have a certain group eat a ton of meat and prove that they're doing everything correctly. So far it seems that, yeah, sure, if you're eating tons and tons of processed meat, it's not going to be good for your health. But did you really need a study that you read on Facebook to tell you that?
I don't think so. Again, now, we should put a little thing on here, a little asterisk with the following information. We're not scientists.
Nope.
Don't believe us at all. I'm just saying it's not gonna affect my diet too heavily because I'm not frying up bacon every morning and eating prepackaged sausage every night. My years of 35-cent ramen eating will probably be the thing that kills me before this will. And if you want some completely anecdotal evidence, just look at the world's oldest woman.
Susanna Jones here is 116 years old. She was officially named the world's oldest woman by Guinness World Records back in July. In a recent interview with USA Today, she says she eats bacon and eggs every morning and even has a sign in her kitchen that says, "Bacon makes everything better." And she's 116
116! No one wants to live that long.
No.
She was in her 40s during World War II, and she eats bacon every day.
So just do whatever you want. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You might get cancer, you might not. Everything you do that isn't exercise or getting enough sleep is killing you.
Yeah.
So stressing out about bacon killing is probably doing more harm than actually just eating it and enjoying it. But again, we don't have science to back that up. We're not scientists. Don't listen to us. Why are you even here?
Yeah.
Read a book.
Go eat some bacon. It's fine.
Fry up some bacon. Fire up a nice little book.
Light a cigarette.
Light a cigarette.
You'll be fine. No, don't listen to us. But anyways, yeah, unless you're eating like 5 packs of bacon a day, it's negligible. Negligible. She's 116!
Yeah. Eat the...
I'm back. God damn that Mandela effect. It kicked my ass again. I swear to God, this week, I seen a video somewhere on the internet or on my news feed or something, or my local news, saying that bacon was bad for you. I vaguely remember seeing it, but it must have been a Mandela effect and crap or something. I don't know, but it seems to be at least in my life lately. I have friends poking videos or poking fun at me, as you can see, you know, with those bacon videos. I love them, you know, the satire with the muzzle guy and you know, bacon, you know, and this all started pretty much as I was joking around with you know, a few, you know, dudes at work about how New York City people, you know, feel that you know, us people in Western New York are a bunch of hillbilly rednecks that just like pickle pig feet, and I accidentally offended a Muslim, and I didn't mean to. I didn't know he was Muslim. I had no idea. He looked Italian. So this is where this stuff all started, and actually started a long time ago, a long while for me, but it's got me back in my mind. Since we're on the topic again and all this bacon stuff's coming up, I got my friends poking fun at me. This isn't happening at work, and you know, just life in general. I just want to go back to the basics, you know, with this bacon deal. You know, I know it's not normally a fringe topic, but I went back to my research and looked at stuff. It wasn't Jay Weidner, it was John Lash that did this video, and it's pertaining to pork in general, and I'll play it later. But anyways, you know, I always wondered when I started reading the Bible when I was 18, what's the deal with these unclean animals and foods and stuff? I mean, he's a god, and he made an animal that is unclean. Oh, by the way, I forgot to introduce you back to Ted. You know who Ted is. Say hi, Ted. You know, he's waving. He was a little jittery earlier. Looked like I could have sworn I saw him moving, but, you know, I got an active imagination, so, you know, probably wasn't. It's just my, me being jittery or something. Who knows? But I'm joking. Well, anyways, you know, going back to the Bible, you know, I'm no different than the Muslims. My religion basically is the same thing. They say, first I read sorry about that, I had a little itch. I got a little poison ivy or something. I don't know, I bumped in around here in the city. I've been taking medicine for it, but that's another topic. Sorry about that. Anyways, going back to the Bible, you know, I first started reading when I was 18. I had a brush with death, you know. I had all this, you know, basically, before I got into this accident, my mom gave me the Bible, and because I told her that I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do with my life, so she gave me this Bible, and I just didn't want to read it. So I went to the next day. I went to get some pizza with my brother at work, and I was coming back, and I got in this horrible accident, and basically I ran to the damn Bible, and I started reading it like crazy, like it was like, it was my life now, because it was I'll get into the whole situation with that one day, but it was like a gift from God to be alive, and it was like a sign to me from God that basically that I should read this and be, somehow try to be a better person reading the Bible and stuff, not necessarily being holy, but a better person. But the outcome of that is I got myself into a lot of trouble, but that's another story, being basically, getting in the Bible, being a holier than thou, virgin at the time. I was very judgmental and stuff, like some religious people are starting out, and, I basically got myself into trouble, but that's another story. But going back to that, I read all this stuff, about the God making the planets, and, weird stuff about, Cain and Abel, or Cain meeting people, some, what do you call it, barbarians that God didn't seem to make in the wilderness or something after he killed his brother. And I eventually got through this craziness of Moses, parting the Red Sea and all that stuff, talking to some bush or something, the burning bush and all that stuff, sorry to offend, if I didn't mean to offend anybody, but eventually we get, after all this hell, they make the golden calf, piss Moses off, piss God off, and, they eventually, kill everybody in the Middle East, and they land and get their own place, I believe. I can't remember, it's been so long. And then they set up these, I believe it was in the book of Leviticus, I believe it was, they set up these rules. Oh, I'll be right back. My dinger went off. Okay, I'm back, sorry folks. Well, where was my train of thought? Well, anyways, going back to the Bible, I got to these lists of rules that they decided to make. It was rules about what you should and should not do. These rules are pretty much for all religions, I think, but this is mainly for the Jews, and thank God the Christians didn't carry on, because they're pretty damn insane. I think some of the rules were you can't wear certain clothes or fabrics. You had to kill, I think, gay people. I'm not sure. No, it wasn't a rule, or something like that. I know if you slept with your mother or sister or something, it was a rule, you'd get in trouble, they might kill you or something. And some other rules are, finally eventually got to the rules where you can't eat certain meat, like a certain fish and, certain other animals. I'm not entirely sure what they were, but I know, the biggest theme in the Bible is pork. I mean, and I always wondered to myself, God made this animal, or all these animals. He made the fabric and everything that's on the earth. Why, if the earth is a holy thing that God made, why the hell is it unholy? I mean, what kind of fucking idiot is this guy? He makes shit that's unholy. He makes animals that he doesn't want you to eat. I mean, is you fucking kidding me here? It's ridiculous, but I always thought that, for the longest time. And it wasn't until 2 years ago that John Lash, talking about his subject material, the Archons, and talking about the mind parasite, or I can't remember what he calls it. Some people call it the Wendigo. My people, the Native Americans, call it the Wendigo. It's like a mind parasite, makes you freaking insane. But but he started talking about that stuff, and that's when I found out that pork was a thing that the bad guys really didn't want you to eat. Which the videos will, well, I won't do the talking about who the bad guys will, the videos will, but, basically, then I'll go into the rest of the Bible, which is, even Jesus did a parable. This is the last thing I remember about the pigs, about the prodigal son, if we all remember. And the very last thing, if you remember, on my mind was he was finally, the prodigal son, was working in this pig pen or pig farm or something. I can't remember. And finally, he just said, "Fuck, the hell with it," and he just, decided to leave. And he's like, "I'm out. I'm doing with the pigs." It's like, he had to go. I'm like, to me, to us Americans, dealing with pigs and eating them, that'd be like heaven. But to these, Easterners, it's like a nightmare. It's like their hell. So, I'm even happy when I watch these show like American Hoggers or stuff like that, where they're out there hunting wild pigs. I'm like, damn. I'm like, this is like paradise out here. I get bacon every day of the week if I wanted to. And that's what will happen if I ever get in the Armageddon. It's like, I'll just go. They had the show in North Carolina. They have all these wild boars hanging around. I mean, hell, I'll take my risk and to get some bacon. What the hell, why not, right? Well, anyways, bacon, I guess, is the number one, bad thing to these Eastern people. I don't know why, my religion, because everybody's religion is from the East, and they just think this animal is so horrible that you can't eat it, for some reason. But you see other Eastern cultures eat just about anything, including spiders and snakes and you name it, so, enough of my, bacon rant. It's been on my mind, and, I'll let, John Lash discuss why bacon is such a, how would you say, a thorn in the side of the bad guys, and why our people, us Western people, are basically a pain in their ass, basically eating this bacon, and basically it stops at their brain, this brain virus thingy, where the heck it's called, it basically puts a big kibosh in their plans, and that's why us white people and Western people, we have to go, make their to make their new world or something. I don't know who writes this shit. I have no idea, but that's what's going on. I don't have no idea it's true. It's the only thing in my life. Say I try to think more scientific, but I know this world is not scientific. But in my scientific mind, I say that the most logical thing out of this bacon deal, why God all of a sudden hates the creation he made, is because it's not, it must not be God. These people or things, or where the hell they are, maybe the real God made these things, and then these actors, these players come along acting like God, and they decide to say that they're not, they're forbidden. So who the hell knows what's going on out there? I have no clue, but I know damn well a God that makes his own animals and tells you that they're unclean. And, I don't think that fits in our universe, but I could be wrong. This whole place, this whole world is just ridiculous. But I'll let you guys watch the video, and you have an awesome night, and say goodbye to Ted. And I'll be taking off. This has been another awesome Saturday. I hope you guys are enjoying the show, and this has been a great Fringe Feature Movie Hour. And there's one more thing I must add. These movies are kind of long, so I might make like a 3-parter out of this and make it like 3 hours. So I apologize for that, but in a way, I guess it gets my newbie YouTube channel started, so it's a good thing. I'll have like 3 or 4 extra videos for you guys to watch. So enjoy, and have a good time, and you guys have a great weekend, and hopefully this will upload soon. If not, I've been having problems. It'll be at least by midnight or before, because technically for most of these us night owls, past midnight is technically still Saturday. So if it's not, and it's still Saturday. I'm sorry about that. I got cut off. I had the next Fringe Feature Movie Hour, uploading, and it basically cut off my video. I'm sorry. I had to, by the way, I had to remove all the extra music because for some reason it was drowning out the whole show. I don't know why. I set all the volumes and stuff low, so I apologize if you guys couldn't hear a lot of the show. I've been trying to tinker with it all for the last couple of days, but nothing's working out, so I'm just going to upload it without the extra music, and it's uploading now, so you guys enjoy and have a happy Saturday, and good evening. Just joking. Good night, everybody. I hope you get spooked out. I know this subject matter is pretty spooky, so enjoy. Take care. Good night. This is a story of the beginning of our world. The story I love the most. In my opinion, it trumps the old Bible stories about Genesis, Adam and Eve. They always seem kind of lame, especially with the snake. This one makes a lot more sense, and Sophia is a lot more cooler and emotional, and she cares about us. But the only bad thing is those Archons make that snake and the devil look like they're preschool kindergarten. So enjoy this video on part 1 of the series. Good night.
So why have a creation story? There's an old saying that goes, when you know where you come from, you have a better sense of where you're going. I think that's true personally, and it's true for the world and the state of the world now. Thomas Berry said, we're in trouble because we do not have a good story. The old story about how the world came to be and our place in it is no longer effective. And he went on to say that the challenge that we face is in creating a new sense of what it means to be human. The new sense of what it means to be human. There are tribal stories, creation myths, thousands of them, that often gave indigenous people their sense of who they were in the tribe, in the weave of the tribe. They knew their place, and they were able to keep the fabric and the connectivity of their tribal people together to sustain themselves and in relationship with the earth. But we don't have a functional story that's allowing that in the West. Our two creation myths basically evolve around Darwinism and creationism. Darwinism, in brief, being a sense of we're a random planet composed of random acts that gave life, when there's not a deep sense of meaning within Darwinism. There are some truths in Darwinism and natural selection and processes, but that spark of life, where we come from, never thoroughly been addressed. And creationism, on the other end of the spectrum, comes with so many beliefs about the creation that it's too veiled in a patriarchal structure for many people to accept. And it's clearly missing the feminine. And more are people, not from gender, but just from understanding the principles of masculine, feminine necessity in creating and generating life, want to see where is the feminine, want to feel that feminine imbalance in a creation story. The Nag Hammadi texts discovered in Egypt in 1945 revealed that there was a creation myth that was told for probably hundreds of years, 2,000 years ago, and that it was attributed to a feminine being, a feminine emanation named Sophia in these texts. And with the emergence of the Nag Hammadi library, more people since 1975 have been working with these texts originally written in Coptic and remembering a whole thread of Gnostic or direct knowing of this story and finding their place in it. So we're telling that story very briefly in this upcoming animation to help reseed a thread of story that was intentionally eliminated from Western thought. And by remembering that story, we hope to create in all of us a sense of why the feminine matters and how to take our place as humans and to create that sense of what does it mean to be a human on this living earth at this time to restore the meaning that's available to us. So who is Sophia? How do we define that word? It's a very broad perspective. The easiest thing to say is the direct translation from the Greek, Sophia is wisdom. That's easy. It's a principle. It's an important principle. The other end of the spectrum, the Puranas, one of the old Hindu texts, refer to something called a phoneme, from phonetic. It's like a seed mantra or a seed sound of creation. Robert Lawler shared this with me, that there is reference to soft as that which is the thought before the creation. And that struck me as quite profound. On that end of the spectrum, there's also a reference in Kabbalistic study to Ein Sof hour, which is the first emanation of light in the creation. So that sound, that soft, Sophia, very, very key in this spectrum of identifying that this isn't just another story. It actually has ancient reference as a creative principle. That's important to me because I want to understand as deeply as I can the nature of life and where we come from and how that gives me a context to be the fullest I can be in my life. There are other references to Sophia in alchemical texts as the prima materia, the first substance. Sophia shows up in the Songs of Solomon in the Bible. It's a presence, it's wisdom. I think of her as an emanation that goes from the planetary mother herself as Gaia Sophia to an essence in the creation of all that is. And then there's a lot in there in between. The discovery of Sophia is actually an individual one, and that's the beauty of working with the myth. We each get to create our sense of meaning in relation to her. Another essential definition of Sophia is that it's a means by which spirit takes form. A means by which spirit takes form. And that she carries the energy signature of matter, of mother, of mater. So if we think of us as being an aspect of Sophia herself, we then are also Sophia. Our life process is a Sophianic process. Also influenced by her counterpart, which the Gnostics spoke of as Christos. So it's a Christos-Sophia creation field that we live, breathe, work in, and co-create with. What is Gnosticism? Gnosticism, another one of those great words, has meant many things. In realm of definition, the word Gnostic relates to kenosis, gnosis, direct knowing, to jnana yoga. It's the knowing, it's the knowledge base. And Gnostic for me is generally going to be a small g. It's the reference to that form of being in direct experience with the creative source, as opposed to Gnostic with a capital G, which is really a way of looking at a whole kind of thought and thinking and a lineage. There were Gnostic schools that came through Alexandria and Valentinius, and different times the Cathars would be a Gnostic sect. We're not so much pursuing a line of dogma or belief around Gnostics with a capital G, but more exploring how to have a direct experience and a direct knowing of the divine that we are, to become that, to feel that, and to allow that to be what informs us in this relationship to a creation story and our place in the world, how to become a more effective human. Caitlin Matthews has a beautiful quote about Gnosticism. She says, "Pure gnosis is found wherever Sophia walks and is not dependent upon any school of thought." I love that. I love the connection between Sophia and Gnosticism, and the fact that direct knowing and experience is what will make the transformative difference to us and to our place in this world. So why does it matter? What is matter? It's also related to Sophia, to the mother, to Mater, and that we are the heart of the matter. We as humans, and the Gnostics call us anthropos, the potential human, we as anthropos matter in this story, and that we need to take our place in this story in order that the fruition of it, the completion of it, the realization of it comes to be. We're not passive in this time of the world. We need to be embodied, active, intelligent, fully realized humans. So important to take our place in this story. There's a few premises that we have about why this matters, and hopefully a few outcomes that people will at least be able to consider. And that is that the earth is a living being. That's not a metaphor. It actually is a living being, and this story tells us how that could be envisioned. Now, again, not that it historically happened, but it's a myth that gives credibility to how Earth became as part of the living being of Sophia in her exploration. It's a galactic story. It's not just the creation of the world. It actually is in relationship to where we are in the galaxy, and that also feels relevant. Our focus has often been so small on our planet and our issues, but we are part of a much bigger co-creation. And when you consider that there's somewhere between 200 and 400 billion galaxies out there, it puts it in perspective that yes, it's all happening here, and it's a very big story. But this is our home, this is our planet, and this is the story we are all co-creating. So as we begin again, the request is to recognize this as a myth, is something that invites you to experience all parts of it as yourself, as if it were a dream. And you are all parts of the story, and that they're going on all the time. And if there's anything in it that you don't particularly feel resonant with, just let that go and find a place that perhaps speaks to you with the ideal outcome that it helps you to create a better sense of who you are in this story. As Thomas Berry said, we need a new story, and we need to create the sense of meaning as a human in the story. Enjoy. Identify with the ineffable one, the incomprehensible oneness. No light, no senses, only a potential of being. Perhaps it's warm, an inner generation of heat, the beginning of an inaudible murmur that perhaps begins to roll and resound through a vastness not bound by space or time, because they do not exist yet. An indefinable utterance echoes throughout a limitless emptiness. Feel it pulsing and spiraling from this silent sonar field. Infinite droplets of pure light emerge, open and unfold into a spiraling dream of luminosity, like a flower opening in a thunderous flash. Creation begins to ignite the darkness. Swirling spirals of dancing light, decorating infinity. Experiencing this mythic imagination as though it were unfolding within you as you watch, perhaps as you awaken each morning from a dream. This world in between sleeping and waking is full of swirling light, not yet embodied, a field of consciousness awaiting expression through you. We are all the aspects of this dream, as Sophia, the first idea of creation, the emanation of limitless light. Envision or imagine the white fire core of the galaxy, producing the pattern of a toroidal movement pouring through the intensity of the galactic center. a potent mass of power, light, and activity. The force of creation emerges from the absolute aloneness of the ineffable one upon the lace pattern and proportion of the field of geometry, the field that supports all manifestation. This creative force has an intense longing for two-ness, that is, for the experience of and with another. From two-ness arises the power of multiplicity, by which the original absolute one enters into the play and the outpouring as the universal all. Appearing as a galactic spiraling movement of our own Milky Way galaxy, we take our place in the infinite universe. The Gnostics call the core of this universal process the pleroma, this white fire core, pleroma meaning fullness or the thoughts of God or the original idea. This pattern is similar to the look of a cell in our own physical body. We can feel and connect with this power of life as the origins within your own self. Imagine now the serpent-like torrents of energy, massive, writhing energies in the core of the galaxy. These energies become distinct as the one begins exploring being. These energies, massive and torrential, are known in the Gnostic texts as the Aeons, a Greek word meaning emanation, time, cycle, process. The Aeons manifest sensory worlds through dreaming. The one creates multiple emanations in the pleroma, each with a masculine, feminine polarity, sort of the yin and yang vortices. They're always in movement, vitally interpenetrating each other. These aeons form pairs, which are called syzygies. Together, these emanations begin to project a thought form. A seed is formed from the geometries that underlie all creation. And the pleromic dreaming was to cultivate this seed towards an imaginal being called anthropos, the possible human. This dreaming of all the aeons perhaps resembles a group of gardeners facing a fertile, empty field. How might they design a place of beauty, a potential home for humanity? The aeons seed their imagination as an energy of gold that takes form across untold spans of time in the outer reaches of the galaxy, 28,000 light years from the core. The aeons look beyond the radiant core to the place where that seed of life is perfect, not too far, not too close to the heat of the galactic center. Among the emanations in the galactic core, there exists one coupling that the Gnostics referred to as Christos, Sophia. Sophia, as the feminine, was curious, interested, enthralled, and intensely allured by the possibility for creation that existed in this golden seed of Anthropos. She begins to travel by herself, her attention so riveted on this experiment in the outer arm of the galaxy that she unwittingly passes through a veil with unexpected consequences. Being that she is a primal force of creation, an emanation of divinity itself, she unexpectedly gives birth to a distorted life form the Gnostics call Yaldabaoth. He who then assumed himself to be the God who created it all, and who had no other gods before him, was thrown out from her light form, along with other creations of his intention, which are represented here as imperfect geometries. They become robotic, mechanized aspects of the creation. This is a vision of how the fall into matter, a fall into time and space, into the forces of gravity might be explained. Sophia falls. It's not a sin, it's no shame. But the laws are different here than they are in the galactic core. We're going to pause for just a minute and talk a little bit about the Archons. I partly love this story because it's one of the only creation myths that actually speaks about the creation of a negative energy in our solar system. And yet many traditions have names for this energy. They're called the Archons in this Greek myth, which translates to Lord. Other words have been the Anunnaki, the Watchers. The Bible refers to the Nephilim, the Asuras, Ahrimanic beings. Many traditions recognize there is an energy that has an influence on this planet that's quite powerful. And the Gnostics were very specific that the characteristics of these archonic beings were very clearly related to robotization, mechanization, and the fact that they were masters of what's called simulacrum. They could create a perfect imitation of something, but it wasn't the thing itself. So if an archon created a pearl, it might be a perfect plastic pearl, looked just like a pearl, but it isn't a pearl. It doesn't have the energy and the quality of pearlness, but that's not meaningful to them. Simulacrums were as good as the real thing. It's a key point when you look at what's going on in the world. A lot of imitation of the real thing. A sunset might be another experience of simulacrum. If you can feel it as you're watching the sun go down and the warmth and the quality of the breeze on your skin, and you're experiencing the amazing change of color, the shift in light. Very different than if you're watching it on a screen. It might be a beautiful vision of a sunset on a screen. It's very different. The direct experience might be the Gnostic experience. The simulacrum through mechanization is more the archonic experience. I personally don't make archons into evil. I make them as an aspect of myself, as in this myth, something in me that actually is related and can appreciate and work with the tools of mechanization, technology, etc. But important that they don't become my God, right? So the God of technology that I might worship at every day, very different than to go out and sit with a tree and be with the sun. It has to be in balance. So within this myth, there's a few very key quotes of what happens when Sophia realizes that she has violated one fundamental principle, which might even be one of the only laws of creation in the universe, and that's in the generation of organic life, there needs to be the balance masculine-feminine. And in her enthusiasm, she penetrates the veil and unintentionally creates without the balance of her masculine Christos self. And so that yin-yang balance is disturbed, but she's a powerful emanating goddess, so there still is a creative energy that is thrown off of her. And her story then continues because she is responsible for having made this creation. So the text has this wonderful quote in the hypostasis of the Archons. Hypostasis is a word that basically means the personhood. So the personhood of the Lord, hypostasis of the Archons, which is in the Nag Hammadi text. And they write that this violent eruption of alien life forms was something like an abortion, a spontaneous miscarriage of divine power. And this creation was a surprise to Sophia herself. And it also brings into call what it might mean for her to be falling, so that she falls into time and space, has this experience in the density of matter in this outer arm of our galaxy. And now she's in a different field of creation. And perhaps one of the key quotes in the texts at this point, when Sophia and Yaldabaoth are having an interaction, she looks at him in her full radiant power and she says, "You are mistaken, blind one. There is an immortal child of light who came into this realm before you and who will appear among your duplicate forms in your simulated world. Humanity exists, and the offspring of the human strain exists. And in the consummation of all of your works, its entire deficiency of truth will be revealed and dissolved in this luminous child." Anthropos, that luminous child that we each are, who will play a key part in the dissolution of these archonic beings in our organic, beautiful world. Back to the story. Faced with the artificial world system of the Archons, Sophia slowly transforms from her pleromic form into a dense material body. The intensity of her divine light diminishes, but a celestial light comes to her aid. The cosmologies in the Nag Hammadi text describe a complex set of events in which the Aeon Sophia aligns her power with a newborn star who bears witness to her encounter with Yaldabaoth, the Lord Archon. And this star, called Sabaoth, is our sun. The sun glorifies Sophia, and Sophia in return pours upon the sun a light of her own divine light to assist his recognition and his condemnation of the Lord Archon. Sophia, in order to redeem her action that created the Archons, determines to become the earth. Sophia does not create the earth, she becomes it. Loaded with inorganic sediment from the galactic limbs, her massive currents of cosmic light convert into the elements of a planet. Her cosmic galactic fire becomes the heat of the fires that warm the condition for life, which eventually is designed to include a home for the golden seed of Anthropos, the golden child. The elements become expressions of her body and of her being, and we imitate her in our own physical bodies, the ways that we experience the elements, earth, air, fire, and water, because we are also made from the same substance. Sophia is transforming from a pleromic emanation in the fire of the galactic core to the fire and the air of the elements in a different density of the creation. It's all an experiment for her. The winds of creation are exploring this expression of life in this density of existence. It's a dance, a play, witnessed by the great beings in the pleroma, all without judgment, all with the great interest as seeds of life are creating unexpected beauties in Gaia Sophia's expression of the elements, of weather, of power. The water of life gives rise to movement and emotion and passions. A rushing spontaneity of that which is a vital constituent of the fluids of all living things: water, ice, steam, snow, fog, dew, so many forms and expressions. Water covers 71% of Earth's surface. It is a miracle of life on this planet. It's also capable of holding impressions of thought and projections of energy and carrying them across the face of the earth. Sophia's bones and structure, the density and rock, come into form as patterns of earth, ground, land, and crystalline structures. They take shape through the atoms and molecules arranging themselves in symmetry. Faces and facets, reflective of the underlying geometry of all creation. Geology, giving rise to growth and life forms. The history of earth and rocks that register the biological changes that Gaia Sophia undergoes. The goddess Sophia produces a world and a habitat for a multitude of life forms and species. Creating at a prodigious rate, life force moves through the elements to create the diversity of cell structure, microbes, sea life, beings who swim, eyes that see, and creatures that live, birds, mammals, all the thoughtful life on this planet, all different expressions of the body of Sophia. Including that original seed expression of anthropos, the potential of human being realized as divinity envisioned us on this planetary body. We find our place in consonance with this creation, holding lines of light, reweaving the pattern of Sophia's own intelligence as we stand on the high mountain tops, reweaving connection, reweaving integration, and remembering her dreaming. We are the immortal child of light, Anthropos, who embodies the direct knowing that when Anthropos remembers the first origin, All Mother, All Father, Sophia Christos at the galactic core, cosmic balance is restored in this world, and we take our place in this story's continued unfolding.
This has been the Fringe Feature Movie Hour. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful Saturday. Ghosts, UFOs, monsters, Mothman, Chupacabra, the Mandela Effect. This and more you will find at the Fringe Feature Movie Hour. some more at the Fringe Feature Movie Hour. I will try to scare the pants off of you. Enjoy. Good night.